Happening now, the Chadakoin River in Jamestown is near action flood stage. This as 3 days of rain is finally coming to an end. And the trial against a Georgia woman accused of causing a fatal wrong-way crash on Interstate 86 is starting soon. Plus, over 500 Buffalo Bills fans, they turn out to meet defensive tackle Ed Oliver here in Jamestown.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, a 38-year-old Fredonia woman has died following a vehicle crash in northern Chautauqua County last week. New York State Police say Katie Korninsky was the passenger in a 2020 Chevrolet that left the roadway and struck a tree last Friday just before noon on Route 60 near Fredonia. While the driver of the vehicle, identified as 64-year-old David Korninsky of Fredonia, was treated for non-life-threatening injuries, troopers said Katie needed to be airlifted from the scene. She later succumbed to her injuries during treatment at UPMC Hammett Hospital in Erie, Pennsylvania. An investigation by the Collision Reconstruction Unit continues. The trial against a Georgia woman accused of causing a fatal wrong-way crash on Interstate 86 in Chautauqua County is getting underway soon. Jury selection in the case against 32-year-old Heather Capel got underway this week. She was indicted last fall on charges of vehicular manslaughter and driving while ability impaired by a combination of drugs in connection with the July 2021 crash. As a result of the collision, 51-year-old Bradley Wakefield of Cattaraugus suffered fatal injuries. New York State's Department of Labor recently identified more than $11 million in fraudulent unemployment insurance payments. Today, our New York Capitol correspondent Elise Klein spoke to an investigator with the Department of Labor about the seriousness of this issue and what the next steps are to get that money back.
In August, the Department of Labor uncovered more than $11 million in unemployment insurance fraud, where individuals were earning wages while collecting state-funded benefits.
These are individuals who took the opportunity to defraud the system during the pandemic when folks were getting benefits as a real lifeline.
Investigators start the process of finding these individuals committing fraud through a quarterly cross-matching process. At the end of every quarter, the Department of Labor gets a list of wages reported to them during that quarter. Investigators then cross-check that list against those receiving unemployment benefits. Kagan Dupiche added that not everyone who receives benefits in the same quarter is doing so fraudulently. Most cases require further investigation. The Department of Labor recently started using new fraud detection technology that helps investigators screen for factors such as the time frame a claimant was working, whether or not they were on leave, and the amount. Kagan Dupiche said the new technology gives investigators a better idea of which claimant was more likely to be working while collecting unemployment benefits.
It's important for us to recognize that even these smaller amounts, because they are smaller amounts, it's just a lot of them, smaller amounts are still important to fight and still important to uncover.
Moving forward, Kagan Dupiche said the Department of Labor handles repayments through a number of ways, but the most common way, she said, is for the claimant to enter into a payment plan. In the issue of non-payment, they coordinate with law enforcement. In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
Elise, thank you. Well, over 500 people lined up for the chance to meet a popular Buffalo Bills player who visited Jamestown yesterday. Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Ed Oliver visited the Dave Warren Auto Group as part of a promotional meet and greet. For over 2 hours, Oliver met with fans from the Jamestown area, taking pictures and signing various items from standard jerseys, footballs, and helmets to even more obscure things like dolls, shoes, and, as you saw there, a real-life baby. Previously off due to an injury, Oliver was excited to meet his fans here in Jamestown.
Let's go Buffalo! Let's go Buffalo! Let's go Buffalo! Let's go Buffalo! The Bills make me wanna shout!
You proud of the fans that make like the Bills Mafia probably And I mean, it was just a great atmosphere. The kids, I seen all kind of little league teams, west side and north side, east side, all the different teams coming out and just showing their support, and it meant a lot.
In the end, Oliver says he's excited to get back on the field and help the Buffalo Bills continue what the player says is expected to be a successful season. Well, the Chadakoin River in Jamestown, it's near action flood stage today. That's according to the U.S. Geological Survey's rain gauge on Dow Street in Falconer. The river's water was observed at 3.53 feet. Flooding generally occurs when the water is recorded at 4 feet or higher. Now, early this morning, our crews reported a high water level just past the Warner Dam along the Jamestown Riverwalk downtown. Heavy rains blanketed the area over the last 3 days, with First Defense Weather recording around 5 inches of rain since Sunday on the south side of Jamestown. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us now in studio with more on what this means. And it sounds like, Dakota, this really was expected with all this rain we've been getting.
Yes. So basically, the forecast played out very well because, we told you how there was going to be heavy rainfall and how, we could have dealt with some flooding issues, and we had some across the region. Now, as Justin mentioned, this is the hydrograph, or what's called the river flow gauge, and this gauge sits underneath the bridge on Dow Street next to the substation, and this monitors not only the flow of the water on the river but also the water level. And Justin mentioned 3.53 feet is the current water level at action flood stage, and obviously, as Justin mentioned, I'm just going to sound like a broken record, it officially floods at 4 feet, and that's the current observation. So the good news is we are heading into a drier part, so we are going to see those water levels recede. Now, officially at the airport, which is north of the city, 3.32 inches from Sunday to Wednesday. Now, that 5-inch total was my gauge on the south side of town. And so again, if you keep rainfall measurements, your total is going to vary depending on where you are across the city. We're still dealing with a few lingering light lake effect rain showers. And again, this is a composite imagery. The Buffalo radar is still down for maintenance, so that's why it doesn't look as high resolution as it normally does. 54 was the high yesterday, started the day at 49, 87 and 27 are the records. So through the afternoon today, lake effect rain showers continue through the afternoon, and it will be cool, 51 to 59 with that northwest wind. Now, we are keeping our eyes on major Hurricane Ian, close to landfall. Plus, how's the rest of the week looking? We'll talk about it with the Ultimate Satellite Solutions 7-Day later in the show, Justin.
All right, Dakota, we'll see you back in just a bit as we roll along how locals are getting ready to help those impacted by Hurricane Ian. And later, a look at the boost drug addiction services are slated to get here in Chautauqua County. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Looking for a fair and honest auto mechanic? Look no further than Dwyas Auto Service. Located at 140 Main Street in Randolph, our family-owned business is ready for all of your automotive needs. From general service to more complex repairs, count on Dwyas Auto to keep you on the road. We not only keep your cars running smoothly, but also looking great with our expert detailing crew. Send us a message on Facebook or call us today at 716-358-2292 to set up an appointment. Dwyas Auto Service. Fair, honest, and the best prices guaranteed.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
As Hurricane Ian approaches Florida, the American Red Cross is ready to help out with emergency relief. On a national scale, the Red Cross has sent hundreds of volunteers and tens of thousands of relief supplies to Florida in preparation for the storm. In the coming days, volunteers will help out at evacuation shelters, which have been set up by the Red Cross ahead of it. The volunteers will also help distribute emergency relief supplies. While all natural disasters are difficult to deal with, Executive Director Mary Rogers says hurricanes are especially challenging.
What happens is if we can't collect blood in a state that's been impacted, that reduces the pool for the rest of the country. So, please go to redcrossblood.org, and if you can donate, please do.
Now, the hurricane's path shifted slightly south yesterday. It's now expected to hit the state as a Category 4 or 5 storm that will cause catastrophic flooding and life-threatening storm surge. Officials around the country have been warning of the dangers of fentanyl for years, but the deadly synthetic opioid is still causing record-high overdoses. Fentanyl is often laced in illicit and recreational drugs, sometimes unknown to the user. Brendan Scanlon explains how one company now looking to map fentanyl to prevent overdoses.
Fentanyl kills more people than guns and car accidents.
Accounting for over 70,000 fatal overdoses in 2021, fentanyl is now the leading cause of death for ages 18 to 45. Recently, harm reduction and prevention have become paramount in the fight against fentanyl.
That it can and will prevent overdoses and save lives.
Ryan Razagi and August Koster are the co-founders of Signify Analytics. Their at-home test kits detect the presence of fentanyl in under 5 minutes with 98% accuracy. The test kits can also be used as a tool to map fentanyl hotspots.
With this data, we can inform the general public of fentanyl spikes in their city or region and to exercise caution.
The company is developing a real-time map based on positive test results where fentanyl outbreaks can be monitored in specific regions.
We only ask for 3 things: the date they completed the test, the general region or location, and the substance they tested.
Consumers have the option to anonymously submit a positive result using a QR code located on the test kit. The company plans to use those results to alert the public.
In order to provide accurate fentanyl spike alerts, we need substantial data. Once we're confident that the aggregate data is accurate, we can proceed to testing and deployment of the real-time map software we're building.
Like many Americans, their motivation to speak up and make a difference hits close to home.
We unfortunately lost a close friend due to an overdose, and obviously this was heartbreaking for us. We realized how tragic this situation is and that fentanyl is ripping through communities.
In Harrisburg, Brendan Scanlon reporting.
The Chautauqua County Department of Mental Hygiene will receive $1 million annually to help expand and connect drug addiction services. This funding, totaling $4 million over 4 years, comes from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. While the funding can help address a range of issues, the department's director tells us improvements to the mobile crisis unit is among top priorities, specifically to connect resources available locally.
I have found personally, Chautauqua County is not lacking resources. What Chautauqua County is lacking is us knowing the resources that are available, a quick way to access them, and also what the left hand is doing and the right hand is doing, so to speak.
Chautauqua County has 2 community behavioral health clinics right now, one here in Jamestown at 200 East 3rd Street, that's at City Hall, and another in Dunkirk at 60 Franklin Avenue. Coming up next, a look at efforts to help mental health of kids, and later, a historic Bemis Point hotel is being recognized for over 100 years of service. Our Bronson Rasmussen joins me to explain. But first, when we return, a full look at our weather forecast. Stay with us. WNY News Now is back after this.
When severe weather breaks, one team has you covered, tracking the storms as they happen. Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Walking from Jamestown to Orchard Park is a long trek, but when rallying for a good cause, anything is possible. I'm Patrick Smeraldo, and I need your help to get there. Starting on November 11th, I'm walking over 60 miles to the Buffalo Bills Stadium, raising money for two great causes: Harrison's Playmakers and foster care in Chautauqua County. Harrison's Playmakers is a non-profit launched by former Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Harrison Phillips to connect kids with disabilities in sports. Furthermore, donations for this 3-day hike will also benefit CASA of Chautauqua County and the Stone family. We're assisting local foster care children during National Adoption Month. Learn more about my journey and to donate at ccsolutions716.com.
Slow down. Slow down and move over. Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights. Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down. Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
to help you.
to save you.
Despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real. Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense weather.
Welcome back, everybody. Wanted to start off with some weather eye pictures. Everybody sending in the weather eye pictures of double rainbows yesterday. We had rainbows showing up across the region. I'm serious. We had hundreds of these pictures, and it was hard to go through to figure out which ones to put in here. But how about the double rainbow over the Washington Street Bridge yesterday? And just, again, more pictures of double rainbows yesterday. This is over the Home Depot in West Ellicott yesterday, and this was in Bemis Point, I believe this picture was taken at Bemis Point High School. And how about this one? Yeah, more double rainbows. And I mean, you know, we've had just so many of those, so thank you for sending those in. We can't show all of them because we had so many. Thank you so much for sending in those pictures of those rainbows. And the past couple of days we've dealt with lake effect rain, so just wanted to kind of review what lake effect rain is. It's the same thing as lake effect snow. It starts with that warm Lake Erie water at 70 degrees. We get a cool air mass coming across the Lake Erie water, so that 25-degree temperature difference from the surface to 5,000 feet, that warm air from the water rises up, creates clouds, and then depending on the wind direction, the winds push those clouds inland where they drop their precipitation. The difference between lake effect snow and rain, obviously, precipitation. Temperatures down low are still warm enough to support rain. That's why it's still rain, not cold or not snow. That happened a lot in the fall season. 53 is our current temperature as a noon hour. There is our cold. The north wind of 7 and the wind chill down to 51. And the good news here is as we go through the next couple of days, the chance of rain does subside. So look at this. Basically dry Thursday and Friday and pretty much through the weekend. Even though we have a 10 to 15% chance of an isolated sprinkle, we should remain dry for the weekend into early next week. Strong cold front moving on through, so that's shifting our wind direction back to the north, still producing those light lake effect rain showers. But the big story really is Hurricane Ian. Here it is here. Notice all the lightning strikes right around the eye wall. That is indicative of a very strong system. As a matter of fact, here's the forecast information from the Hurricane Center. Still a Category 4, winds of 155 miles an hour. That is closing in on Category 5 status with maximum winds of 190 miles an hour. Looks like we now have a tornado warning up and through here. And again, very common to get isolated spin-up tornadoes within the feeder band. So here's the forecast track from the Hurricane Center. It's likely going to make landfall probably within the next hour or so, and at that point the eye wall will officially be on land. Then it will cross across the Florida Peninsula, then take a sharp leftward turn, and we have to watch this because even though we're likely not going to be in the moisture side of it, we could have some clouds over the weekend. In terms of the rain, take a look at this. Where you see that yellow strip here, that could be upwards 15 to 20 inches of rain. A foot or more of rain is possible across the Florida Peninsula from Sarasota to Tampa back up towards Orlando. So this is really going to be a flooding issue and also major storm surge as well. But getting back to home here, we are still dealing with those lake effect rain showers through the afternoon hours today. Maybe a few breaks in the cloud cover, but don't count on much of that. A few early lake effect rain showers go to bed through the overnight hours. Tomorrow we might start off with a light rain shower, then look at the clear. By the afternoon hours, we should go partly to mostly sunny, and that will continue all the way through Friday. And I think Friday will be a mainly sunny day, so a lot more sunshine in the atmosphere. Now the next 7 days, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. So pretty much the same song and dance we've been talking about. This entire forecast, Justin, is below average. But even though we dry out, though, Sunday will probably be the day when we'll get some of that excess cloudiness from the remnants of Ian. That's why we're going mostly cloudy there. But at least the precipitation, Justin, will stay to our south.
Certainly, and our thoughts and prayers with everybody down there in Florida as they have to deal with that. Dakota, thank you. Well, some headlines from around the nation. The Justice Department now calling on a federal judge to make psychological tests mandatory for some migrant families separated at the southern border. The move comes less than a year after the Biden White House backed off settlement talks on the issue. In 2018, the U.S. put a so-called zero-tolerance policy where criminal prosecutions were in effect on every adult who entered the U.S. illegally. This caused thousands of families to be split up. Now, the Physicians for Human Rights say this process is, quote, torture, while the American Academy of Pediatrics says breaking up a family can be compared to child abuse. Well, some Medicare recipients will be able to keep a little more money in their pockets next year. Tuesday, the president announced for the first time in over a decade, premiums for Medicare Part B will decrease. The standard monthly premiums will be more than $5 less in 2023 compared to 22. This after the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services reported a 14.5% increase in Part B premiums in 2022. Medicare Part B covers some medical and health services not offered by Medicare Part A, including physician services, outpatient hospital services, and certain home health services. Research shows that the pandemic had a negative impact on our students. They experienced learning lost time, a loss of socialization with others, and for many, their mental health was also impacted. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp explains more about a congressional hearing that's looking at how schools are trying to help students get back on track.
In one of his first congressional hearings, New York Representative Joe Sempolinski shares how the pandemic impacted his family.
My wife, Angie, is a school teacher who had to teach through hybrid learning through the pandemic. She would see half her students one day while the other half sat at home, probably playing video games or with their computers on mute. The next day, those groups would change places. She was in the classroom. She'd have the different kids that weren't there before. And so you're effectively cutting their learning time and education for that particular school year in half. But despite millions and millions of dollars being poured into schools at the behest of the American Federation of Teachers, we still have record low test scores and comprehension.
According to research from the Brookings Institute, students' overall math and reading test scores have dropped, and that drop is even more drastic for kids in low-income areas. In a recent House Congressional Education Subcommittee, they look at how students can get back on track. Researchers and educators say with the infusion of COVID relief dollars, schools are using that on things like teacher development and student tutoring.
Several states and school districts are developing permanent tutoring infrastructures that could add an important instructional component. Schools are bringing in mental health professionals and training teachers in social emotional learning to help students navigate their emotions and relationships.
But even with this additional funding, districts are still facing other pressing issues.
Many districts can't find the people they want to hire. The pandemic has exacerbated longstanding shortages in critical teaching areas like special ed, science, and math.
Panelists say investing in our kids can help them recover from any loss of learning.
We have a responsibility to spend it well and really hold ourselves accountable to the outcomes of that funding.
At the Capitol, Rachel Knapp reporting.
Rachel, thank you. Next here, a historic Bemis Point Hotel now being recognized for over 100 years of service. What that means next.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Walking from Jamestown to Orchard Park is a long trek, but when rallying for a good cause, anything is possible. Starting on November 11th, I'm walking over 60 miles to the Buffalo Bills Stadium, raising money for two great causes, Harrison's Playmakers and foster care in Chautauqua County. Learn more about my journey and to donate at ccsolutions716.com.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. A historic hotel is receiving recognition for their over 100 years of operation in Bemis Point. Bronson Rasmussen joins me live today at the desk with more on this story, and it's a pretty cool piece of history.
Yes, it is, Justin. Operating for 142 years, Hotel Lenhart is known for its rustic aesthetic, allowing guests to live in a past era, enriching the history of Chautauqua County, according to Assemblyman Andy Goodell.
We have a rich history in our county, and of course part of that history is the Hotel Lenhart, which has been here since 1881. So this historic designation then goes on to a permanent database maintained by the Office of Parks and Historic Preservation.
The history imbued within the walls is apparent to the Assemblyman, who has family that frequents the spot.
Anyone in the county can enjoy the Hotel Lenhart, and almost everyone has at one time or another. Sitting on the front porch on a rocking chair in a warm summer breeze, enjoying a refreshing drink, it's just a slice of heaven.
Hotel Lenhart is currently in the process of being sold to a different family. While planning to improve amenities, the new owners are not expected to change the old feel.
The new developer wants to upgrade some of the rooms, add heat and air conditioning. This was just a summer hotel in the past, and I think it'll be good. It, put some investment in and upgrade a little bit, but I am confident that they will maintain the historic character of the building, and especially, of course, this beautiful porch behind us.
Only a few businesses in Chautauqua County have ever received the nomination for the Historic Business Registry. This year, a total of 3 local locations have been recognized.
We've also this year nominated Neckers in Clymer and Fancher Chair in Faulkner. So 3 great businesses here in Chautauqua County.
In addition to receiving an award and a sticker showcasing the historical significance, Hotel Lenhart will be named in a permanent database for anyone wishing to learn about the rich history locally. Justin?
Yeah, that is so awesome. And I know, as you mentioned in your story, they're going to be having a new owner soon, and it's good to hear that they're going to try to continue that tradition of having this historical excellence of a classic Victorian hotel in Chautauqua Lake, one of 2 that we have here. I believe the Athenaeum at the institution.
It's them and the Athenaeum.
Yeah, at both opposite sides of the lake too, which is really cool. But still having, you need to have heat, right? If you're gonna be all year round. And you know what? Bemis Point, a lot of people know it for the summer. There's a lot to do during the winter too.
There is quite a bit. We were talking about that, all the elected officials and myself and the owners, back when we went there yesterday during the award ceremony. It was quite a bit that actually happens there during the fall and winter. once that summer crowd actually just drops off.
Right. And being able to be open for tourists is an important thing for them to do. So it'll be cool to see. And of course, we'll continue to monitor that and keep you updated too on the progress. Well, that is it for us today. Of course, news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. We'll leave you with this live look outside of our studio here in downtown Jamestown. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow, live at noon.